A terrace handle turns. Cool air slips out into noon heat. 60 seconds later, $136 million in diamonds are gone without a scream. Did the door open, or was it always meant to? You're about to find out. The InterContinental Carlton Cannes wakes like a creature of habit. The white facade is clean against a sky that looks painted. Waves roll the Croisette soundtrack into a steady hush, and the revolving doors thrum like a heartbeat on cruise control. Inside that quiet rhythm, people work. Real people. Not headlines, not myths. Meet Elodie, the exhibition coordinator, with a binder that never leaves her reach. Headset, flats, a pencil tucked behind her ear. She's good at details. Name badges alphabetized, courier receipts signed, temperature in the room logged every hour because stones prefer consistency. She wants this show to be perfect for the vendors who trusted her and the staff she briefed. Even as she lines up display plinths in an air-conditioned hush, she's nursing a private ache. Her father's watch needs repair, but she's putting off the expense. A small human pause that matters later, because money is always an unseen character in these stories. Now the guard you won't see in posters. Karim. Unarmed, as the law requires for private security here. Former doorman, now trained to read postures instead of passports. He likes mornings, fewer drunk tempers, more measured voices. He knows the terrace door is a threshold with a personality, sometimes sticky, sometimes eager. You listen for the click. The click is truth. Vendors drift in with cases built like vaults in miniature. A Leviev representative signs a chain of custody form with a practiced hand, then rests the pelican case on velvet, patient as a surgeon setting out instruments. Light is everything, so the blinds are set to almost closed to keep glare from washing diamonds into flat pieces of glass. The AC hums just loud enough to make whispers feel secret. Somewhere, a doorbell chime down the corridor arriving at a distant suite. These are ordinary sounds on an extraordinary morning. By the time Elodie finishes her second walkthrough, the room looks like a promise. Glass vitrines waiting for truth to sparkle within them. Labels laid out, a last-minute sign reminding invited guests to present their credentials. In hindsight, the sign is irony. The day's most important credential will be a gun. You're watching Twisted Case. Calm, human-first true crime with a cinematic pulse. Subscribe if you want the how without the hype. We're opening the door now. Late morning, July 28, 2013. The exhibition is not open to the public yet. Staff, vendors, and 3 private guards are inside the salon. A man in a cap and scarf steps in through the terrace entrance with a handgun, directs everyone to stay calm, and starts loading diamonds and diamond-set watches into a briefcase and an auxiliary box. No shots, no broken glass. He exits with controlled speed. Early estimates put the loss at roughly 40 million euros. After 48 hours, the count climbs to about 103 million euros, $136 million, after a fuller inventory. One of the largest jewel heists in modern history. The man is gone. That's the statement. Clean, digestible, comfortable in its simplicity. But then the edges start rubbing raw. The terrace doors were supposed to be locked. The show wasn't open, so why were several exceptional pieces already out of vault-grade cases? The guards were unarmed, yes, but why wasn't there a police liaison within sprinting distance if the inventory was that valuable? And how does one person remain so calm that he drops stones at the exit and doesn't bother to pick them up unless he knows time is on his side? Even as the city digests the initial number, the revised total arrives like a second robbery. Same act, new reality. Staff who thought they'd survived a major theft now realized they were witnesses to a record. So was it really a lone opportunist who lucked through an unlocked threshold? Or was that minute the visible result of somebody's quiet week? The kind of week where a door is tested, a routine is clocked, a room's choreography is learned. Because if it's that simple, failure is not accidental, it's designed. A hand, a scarf, a pistol, a briefcase, a door that yields. 5 beats. After that, everything spirals. The headline is first written at 40 million euros. That's already enormous. But inventory is a living thing on event mornings. Items move from secure transit cases to vitrines, then from vitrines to public eyes. Counting mid-transfer is like photographing a dancer mid-turn. You'll miss something. Only when the lists are compared, the courier receipts, the vendor manifests, the morning of annotated to be displayed sheets, does the true figure land. 72 pieces in that active rotation, 34 considered exceptional.
Within days, high-resolution images of the missing pieces and an up to €1 million reward are released. Heart-cut stones with saturated color, platinum cuffs loaded like frost, diamond-set watches that flash status the way sirens flash a warning. The strategy is old and effective. Make the goods famous enough to choke the market. It signals another truth. Intact resale is nearly impossible now. If a crew did this, the plan always included anonymity by alteration, recutting, remounting, or smuggling stones to cutters who can remove identifying features while preserving value. What if the evidence survived only by not being itself anymore? May 2013. 2 tremors during the festival. A Chopard collection disappears from a hotel room safe. No splinters, no alarms, just absence and a missing safe. A Grisogono necklace evaporates after a high society party. Staff remember flashes of cameras and a sea of strangers. Both thefts are separate cases. Together, they hum like a tuning fork, warning that the coastline's thresholds are flexible. July 25, 2013. Orbe, Switzerland. Vehicles crush a prison gate. A pink Panthers member escapes under covering fire. European law enforcement takes notes. Journalists sharpen pencils. The word Panthers walks back into circulation with a certain swagger. July 28, 2013. Cannes, late morning. Humidity thickens the promenade. The Carlton's private salon is chill by design. The exhibition is not yet open, pieces are in transition. A man in cap and scarf enters from the terrace with a handgun. He instructs stillness. He collects with purpose. He leaves by the same threshold or an adjacent egress. The accounts focus on the minute, not the route. Diamonds worth about $136 million, eventually tallied, are gone. July 28th through 30th. Numbers change, nerves don't. Authorities brief 40 million euros. Inventory review pushes it to 103 million euros, $136 million. Vendors file loss declarations. Insurers activate contingencies. Staff file statements and relive seconds like hours. August 6th. The public is deputized. An insurance affiliate posts a reward of up to 1 million euros for information and circulates images of the missing pieces. The hunt is now a crowdsourced vigilance project. Silence answers loudly. After 2013. Echoes, not closures. No arrests officially linked to the Carlton heist. No public recovery that closes the loop. The case moves from breaking news to permanent question mark. The door remains 2 things at once, wood and symbol. We talk about diamonds as if they're cold math. People are not. The most valuable element in that room was consent under duress. The decision everyone made not to escalate a theft into a tragedy. Elodie thinks about the pencil behind her ear. Karim thinks about how far his feet could have carried him if he'd tried to rush a gunman with nothing but will. A vendor tries to keep his voice even because tone is contagious in a crisis. Panic echoes. Calm flattens the curve. Later, the documents arrive like weather. Police statements, HR time cards, badge access logs, and hotel CCTV stills. Identity checks ripple outward. Fingerprints of couriers, a re-verification of background screenings for temporary staff, a reminder email to all departments about door policy. Everyone becomes paperwork. Everyone becomes a line in a system designed to name patterns and keep secrets that don't belong to the front page. Meanwhile, the city projects normal. The water stays blue, the promenade keeps its pace. Even as tourists photograph a hotel that hosted a heist, they're really photographing the feeling that beauty promises safety. That promise is powerful. It is also a liability. The public loves a clean silhouette. One man, one gun, 1 minute, one exit. It's almost elegant in its cruelty. Nobody gets hurt. The city's belief in its own sophistication remains intact. The lone bandit theory keeps embarrassment local. A single opportunist saw a seam and slipped through. Could it be true? Yes, if the seam was wide enough. A terrace that yields. Cases open in the liminal minutes before a show. Guards trained to de-escalate, but not to chase. A promenade noisy enough to swallow a quick exit. A change of clothes nearby. A taxi that looks like any other taxi. The beauty of the lone bandit story is that it requires no conspiracy. The danger is that it requires no accountability beyond fate. The name arrives quickly because it fits so many robberies. Speed, precision, boldness that uses theater without blood. The Panthers are not a single gang, but a label for multiple crews with overlapping training, contacts, and methods, many with Balkan roots and a long resume of luxury target hits. The Cannes heist has their scent. Compressed timeline, daylight control, escape that blends with ordinary street movement. Plus, the Swiss prison break days earlier adds a narrative magnetism hard to ignore. Still, there is a difference between a pattern and proof. Investigators are careful when microphones are near. A myth can solve a press conference, it can also mislead an investigation. Here's the quiet theory that often feels least cinematic and most true. Somebody with proximity, not a mastermind, just a person near the choreography relayed timing, door status habits, or staffing rhythms. Not sabotage, information. The Riviera is full of temporary labor, contractors who rotate across venues, colleagues of colleagues. A single comment at its cigarette break about when cases are usually opened is gold. A maintenance worker who knows which terrace door swells in humidity is a map. Couple that with a small, competent local crew that can switch from opportunity to execution within days, and you have a story that fits the observed minute without invoking international legend. When insurers offer up to €1 million and release high-res photos of missing pieces, they're running a human algorithm, incentive against loyalty, fame against fencibility. It says two things about suspects. First, this wasn't a smash and grab for quick cash. Fencing intact would now be suicidal. Second, whoever took the stones either had access to cutters who can recut and erase signature features, or the patients had networked to hold them until the spotlight cools. Both options point to experience, either a disciplined lone actor with excellent connections or a crew with infrastructure. The Carlton heist is unsolved. There are no public arrests that tie neatly to that Sunday in July. There is no thrilling recovered trove laid on velvet for cameras. Instead, there are procedures rewritten in the dull light of meeting rooms, layers added to perimeters, police liaison formalized, marketing dialed down from trumpet to flute. Upstairs venues are preferred, guest lists become quiet security checkpoints. Cases with time delays become a TikTok you can't rush. None of this looks cinematic, all of it looks like care. But risk remains a weather system, not a list. The Riviera still sells beauty, and beauty sells openness, and openness sells threshold failure if nobody designs against it. And the human variables are stubborn. Workers with rent due, guards with families, vendors with reputations, managers balancing hospitality with hard boundaries. Guns turn people into mathematicians of survival. Their calculations are not cowardice, they are ethics in a second.
The stones themselves, if you're looking for them, you may walk past them. Not as legendary jewels, but as a pair of earrings that sparkle less dramatically than they once did, or a ring whose center looks clean because a telltale feather was cut away. That is the cruelest transformation in jewel crime. Beauty doesn't die, it reincarnates, untraceable, worn by someone who may never know the room that went quiet to save a life. What then is the enduring lesson? It is not that thieves are geniuses, it's that systems often prefer the comfort of tradition to the discomfort of anticipation. Doors are trained by culture. If culture says always open, then training must teach when to say not today. 4 fixes that might have stopped it and will stop the next one. 1. Treat every entrance as staged hospitality with teeth. Greeters double as screeners. A lingering stranger is met, engaged, redirected. Smiles are security features when trained and empowered. Detection is mercy. It protects staff before assets. 2. Harden the liminal minutes. When items move from transit to vitrine, nothing else moves. Radios live on a shared channel with police. A code phrase means silent lockdown. Cases with time delays are built into setup flow, so even the soft moment resists speed. 3. Make marketing whisper. Invitations without billboards. You don't need the promenade to know there's a party. Let buyers find you, make thieves work harder than a web search and a walk-by. 4. Architect the exit against convenience. The room's exit geometry should fail a thief. Blind corners that blind them, not you. Exterior paths broken by human checkpoints. A staircase that doesn't gift a straight line to public anonymity. Design is policy you can touch. Moral lens. To center empathy is to admit a simple truth. Every jewel story has non-jewel victims. The manager who cannot sleep through a door latch. The guard who replays a second where he could have rushed and knows why he didn't. The housekeeper who now avoids the terrace in her off hours because the light there feels accusatory. We can critique systems without tallying courage as a deficit. The room chose survival. That should anchor the narrative. We should also honor the invisible labor that followed. The analysts who read badge logs until eyes blur, the adjusters who triangulate loss categories, the detectives who knock politely at 6 a.m. because even questions deserve courtesy. Good work is quiet. That is why it is often undervalued. Frequently raised questions because you'll ask them in the comments. If it was the Panthers, why no claim? Because myth works better as a whisper. Public claims invite public heat. Professionals prefer their legend to arrive without fingerprints. Why didn't the guards tackle him? Because ethics and law both converged on the same rule. Don't trade property for blood. Unarmed guards are trained to observe, report, and protect life. They did. Could the door have been forced? Possibly, but the more uncomfortable explanation that habit or timing made the door complicit fits the minute better than a noisy entry.
What about the dropped stones? That is the loudest quiet clue. He trusted his seconds more than his greed. That decision points to preparation, not panic. Where are the diamonds now? Alive in new shapes, dead as evidence. That is how luxury survives crime. It changes names. In the end, this story is not about a genius thief or a foolish hotel. It's about thresholds and the stories we tell ourselves at them. On the Riviera, doors mean welcome. Security must write a counter story. Not this door, not this minute, not without our eyes on you. That tension between openness and protection is where modern cities live. So here's the dilemma I'll leave you with, because debates build better futures than applause. Should cities allow high-value jewelry exhibitions in open-access hotels only if they meet law enforcement-grade standards, sacrificing some openness, spontaneity, and commerce in the name of worker safety and public risk reduction? Or should we preserve the culture of hospitality as it is, rely on insurance and after-the-fact justice, and accept the possibility of rare but headline-stealing losses? Tell me where you land. And why? Do you choose safety architecture that reshapes public spaces or cultural openness that trusts people and absorbs risk? There isn't a neat answer. That's why it's worth arguing, respectfully, in the comments. If you want more calm, verifiable, human-first investigations told with cinematic pulse, subscribe to Twisted Case. Next Threshold opens soon.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe for more gripping true crime breakdowns, mysteries, and criminal psychology stories, only on Twisted Case.